Hello, world. Frida Reba Darcy, I think I got Frida there. Frida Reba Darcy and Patricia O'Connor here. And what in the world? What in the world? Well, I tell ya, that is our 75-year-old cork bark Japanese black pine. And it is, what's it doing? What's it doing in a tote? Well, as I try to get frame again, what it's doing in a tote is we are about to repot this tree. And I'm going to use that tote to capture all the substrate instead of just letting it go everywhere the way I usually do. And also, part of the reason for that is I don't really need to renew the substrate. That is not the reason for the repot. This is one of my, I consider it like a prized possession. This is a 75-year-old, as I said, Japanese black pine. And it's got a really nice cork bark trunk going there. And it's got some, really good plating and stuff. But a little over a year ago, this tree took with a case of the sniffles. I believe that was due to my setting the tree in a drip tray that had water, that when I put the pot in, the water level rose in the drip tray and it rose above the drain holes, and the bottom mat of roots died, clogged up, and proceeded to, that was actual root rot and verifiable root rot. So I kind of saw, it's not like I saw what was going on and had some idea. I saw the tree having issues, but I had already probably removed it from that drip tray by that point. So, but the damage had already been done. So I was watching the tree get sicker and sicker and sicker, and I did like a four-pronged approach. One, I had decided that my leisure days of having Japanese black pines while being ignorant of Japanese black pines were well and truly over. It was time to get educated if I was going to save this tree. And that's not really hyperbole or me. It was not looking good. At one point, I was fairly certain that I had killed the tree. And it was losing color all over, not just in one area, but throughout. And so what I did then was a couple of things. One, to try to cover overwater or underwatering, I made sure that I waited until the substrate was well and truly ready to be watered, and then I would water it all the way through. And I made sure that, and then also, I tilted the tree so that if it were having any drainage issues, it would help to evacuate water better. At that point, I didn't know what was going on in the pot, and I hadn't really figured out what I had done yet to cause that. That was one of the things that I was considering might have been a problem. Also, I was just considering I may have overwatered it or underwatered it, or it may have gotten sick, or it may have been underfed. So I learned more about feeding and started feeding the tree. And then I found out about systemic treatment that would cover if we got something. God knows all the pine trees on the grounds are constantly coming down with their little ailments and this and you see different things. So that was a possibility. So I started running a systemic treatment through it, and so that covered 3 out of 3. And the fourth thing was my ignorance up until then. So I felt like I wasn't what I would call woke yet when it came to Japanese black pines, but at least I was making the effort and I was on my way. So with all of that going on, I did notice an improvement looking back. I wondered if it was my imagination, but I noticed an improvement that I felt like was probably more on top of my very careful watering and my tilting the tree on an angle. Y'all might have seen I have a cypress wooden wedge that I cut out of my cypress trees, and every once in a while, if I think something's having trouble draining, I'll stick one end of a pot underneath that and put it on probably a 30-degree slope or something, which is supposedly helps, it helps them drain faster. It can also cause, in the bottom corner of a pot, a pocket where all of the water won't be close to a drain hole and can collect there. So that can be a little harmful to some roots, but that is a good way to quickly evacuate most of the water in a tree. And quite often when you see tours of people's gardens, you might see that one tree that's tilted at an angle. They're trying to get on top of the water and on that thing, and that's what you do and why you do it. So a couple of weeks into that, somebody at the Bonsai Club mentioned the fact that we were still in the end of the window for repotting, and they seemed to look at me like, take the hint. And so I did. I cut the wire loose and I pulled that tree up out of its pot. It's what I would call an emergency repot. One, it hadn't been it hadn't been 2 years since its original. It had been repotted when I bought it, and I hadn't had the tree 2 years, so it wasn't being repotted for that. What we wanted to know was what was going on. We wanted to see if we saw bugs. We wanted to see if we saw root rot. We wanted to see. The worst thing for me, I think, looking back, was, especially with the way I felt about it, I felt like I had been kind of slack by not learning all of my P's and Q's. What I did do was I should have known not to decandle a cork bark black pine every single year. They are a little finickier when it comes to being decandled every year, and also older cork bark black pines, you don't want to mess with their energy by doing that. So I was supposed to know that had just been done, and it had been before I bought it, that I shouldn't have been the one to do that the very following year. Also, I would fertilize and feed sporadically because I didn't know what I was supposed to be knowing about fertilization and feeding, and I hadn't selected one or gotten married to one yet, and I didn't know why I would be with this one over that one, and all the stuff I didn't know about that caused me to do it sporadically, and I was curious if maybe I'd made the tree anemic, which is possible. So for all of those reasons, when I was in the window to repot, I cut the tree loose from its wires below, and I lifted it up out, and what I found was a mat of roots in the bottom that were dead. And that was the area that whenever the pot had been placed in a drip tray, and the drip tray probably didn't have that much water in it necessarily, looking at it, and then you set the pot in the water, and then the water level goes up. Well, it probably still wasn't that deep even then. But then the next time you water the tree, that drips into the drip tray. Now all of a sudden the drip tray has a water line that's above the drain holes, and that means at that point your tree stops draining, and it would stop draining with that much water in the bottom of the pot. So when those roots died, they further clogged up the drain holes, and when I took it out of the pot, I removed, it was very easy. You didn't need scissors to remove this. This stuff would pretty much wipe away. So I removed all of the substrate, went back with some Boon Mix, and which is a little chunkier and a little bit more free draining. I don't know that if I were the person that I got this from was an old pro, and they tend to go with akadama, like almost pure akadama. And I've tried that on some of my water loving trees, but I think that mixture with my level of the game is probably not right for me. So I went with something a little closer to a Boon Mix, which is this stuff, which is going to be pumice, akadama, and lava rock. and I think this is like an 8th size. It's kind of chunky, but not overly so. And that helped the drain. So removing that dead mat at the bottom that I could just basically take loose, and then replacing that substrate and putting it back in, put the tree on the back on the right path. So why am I going back in? Well, a couple of things. One, when I did this, I was a wreck. I mean, just honestly, I was. I didn't have the confidence to go in there and be doing this repot at that time, and I felt like that this was the one tree that I had that could have been, you know, at least local show ready, and not that it's that now, but you know, it's still a gorgeous, beautiful tree, and we're not too far off the mark. But as soon as I got it repotted, I went, okay, I've done all I can do. It's, you know, it's kind of like I've changed the bed and cleaned the sheets, and the patient is resting comfortably. And I do see what the problem was. You know, the worst thing for me was had I gone in there and seen nothing, because I was already really, you know, I was already pretty nervous about the condition of the tree. To have gone in there and seen nothing would have been to learn nothing, and to have wondered if I just increased its, you know, decreased its odds of survival by doing a repot. So, having seen that, I felt a little better, and I also at that time, I feel a little bit like sometimes repots are a little bit like heart surgery. I haven't really learned to slow down on repots yet. I have confidence on other things, but when it comes to messing with the roots, I want to get in and get out as soon as possible, and I hadn't really learned to play attention to my P's and Q's like I should have. So, short story long, I repotted the tree, and then I backed off and looked at it and went, oh God, I totally screwed the angle up on the tree. And what I mean by that is the tree should be farther this way back, about an inch or two. It should be farther up. The whole thing should be sitting up higher in the tree, about an inch or two. And I totally blew the angle. It's dipping forward, and you could even see that it had been cut and manicured over the years to have sort of flat, you know, clouds going there with the pads, and I've got the angle all wrong by doing that. So we're now at a good time to replant pines, and I am got a tree that's well on its way back into some vigorous health. It's looking a little yellow the way all of them here are on my balcony, because it's winter and because it's raining like cats and dogs non-stop. So, but other than that, I think we're all in pretty good shape. I'm planning on reusing this substrate because it's barely a year old. What I intend to do is cut the wire from the bottom, take my little whisk brooms and sweep off the top, give it a little bit of tilt, dump as much of that substrate in there as I can get, lift the tree out of the pot, move that off to the side. I don't really plan to do any root work, because again, that's not why we're going in. We're basically just going in. I'm going to add a little bit more substrate to the bottom to raise the tree out of the pot a little bit, and then just repot it. And I thought, since that was something that didn't involve torrential downpours, which is all I've been really doing videos on, I thought that we would just make this our weekend drop. So yeah, here we go. Last slurp of coffee. I'm going to climb over the tripod and kick the camera, and then we'll be off to the races, as they say. Did a special rig on the camera to make this possible. I had to build a little head for this camera. My other camera that was having the data issues probably got over that. I shot a short with it yesterday, but I still don't trust the video, and this is going to be a little timely, so I didn't want to trust it. So we're on my older camera. I always love the lens on this camera though. So the tools that we're going to be playing with tonight is a hemp whisk broom, and I might use my stainless chopstick. I will probably use my little skewers for something. And then I have some wire cutters and some pruners, and I have my nip axe standing by as well. So here we go. I'm just gonna go in here. Also, I took a couple of little coffee cups, and I took all of the bio gold off the top of the tree, because I'm planning on putting that right back down when I'm done. I had all these little lumps of bio gold. I think about 3 of those little cubes is a dose, and I'm trying to remember. I believe it's like a dose is supposedly per 4 square inches. So basically, I'd put a dose here, a dose here, a dose there on all 4 corners of this guy. And if they're more or less this size, I'm doing about the same. I mean, it's not brain surgery, and it's not measured with teaspoons or graduated cylinders for sure. It's a low dose, really, not a low dose. It's a low number fertilizer nutrients. So yeah, that's kind of what. So I scraped all that off, and I'm saving it. I don't plan on doing all of this in this tub. I just plan on catching most of my substrate in here. At some point, I'll probably set the tub down and have the tree on the table. It's not. I don't have a clearance. I don't have a lot of clearance for these branches on the edges of this container, and I don't want to hurt anything. This tree has made excellent strides this year, and also I would like to say it has been, y'all have been an excellent crew. Y'all keep me reaching. I keep learning. And also, when I wanted to go back and see what the original angle looked like, I had our videos that we had done before. And now we are, I believe this is going to be 298 showing. And between me and you guys, I think when I first started doing this, what they were telling me to do was to hurry up and get my first 100 videos made. And then after that, they said, kill your first 20 or 30 videos because they're never any good, but it was good that you got that out of the way. So yeah, I did that. I probably deleted 30, and I'm still, this is going to be video 298. So we're just kind of still knocking them out. We're still here. And I learned to do Japanese black pine bonsai trees on your guys' watch. I mean, while we were all here together. And what I would say about that is, if I can with a balcony, you can. And this has certainly been fun. Yeah, this has certainly been fun. Now look at us. I've probably got probably close to 30 pine trees now. Not all of them near this fancy. One thing I'm thinking about is this year I will not be decandling this tree again. We're just going to keep it in this little health kit. Just water, feed. I'm going to, after I've got this little repot taken care of, after that I will do a little needle cleanup. Just and then I will thin out some of the needles on the top so that we can keep the energy going on these guys down here. And the other side is the front, I believe. But I'll do something to even out the energy a little bit, but I didn't want to do that until after I was done. I don't want to get those needles all over that soil and then have to pick all those needles out before you know, so anyway, yeah. So that's kind of the plan there. I'll clean it back up and then it'll go back out. It'll go back out on the bench at an angle that will not be as, see, it was in a position where we could see all of this, and it wasn't just that I piled stuff up around the top of the trunk, although I may have somewhat. It's also that when I cut out that much roots off the bottom of it, I might have put another layer at the bottom of the pot, but I probably didn't put a layer in the bottom of the pot big enough to account for the layer of roots that I cut off the bottom of the root ball. So it sat down, it lost it, there you go, there was that kick. So it lost an inch or two of height in that process. Okay, now let's get some wire cutters and go in here. I've got more clearance on this side than I do. Get that a little tilt, make sure I'm not. Yeah, that'll be okay. I hope I'm not just completely blocking the camera. I forgot, is this, yes. This pot has a lip. It's a dreaded lip. So, I've got my little sharpened root rake that I never use as a root rake. And I'm taking the sharp end of it, and I'm running a line down the edge of this pot to separate this root ball. And I run that line all the way down until I can kind of feel it. It's a lot easier to do this than it is just to stand there and heave and pull on the bark of a pine tree. It's a lot easier just to take your time and just try to clean that line all the way down. Any places that you leave in there are going to be where the soil is maybe gotten clay-like or is hanging on or something. Make sure you get those. That's what's going to try to make it hard for you to succeed. So be sure you try to get those. I've seen people say they were concerned about damaging the roots doing this. Usually this is the part of the roots that are just about to start circling around the pot anyway. And most of the time, the very next move is typically to remove the root mass. At this point, we've still got quite a bit of loose substrate that I can remove here that I've just already broken loose. But remember, I'm not here to do root work per se. I basically want to raise the end of the tree that I'm on right now, you know, and raise the whole tree, but also raise this end slightly. Now, you don't. Okay. All right. Looking down here, there was a lot of good white Marsilia. Is that what it is? I'm going to ruin the balance of this and send that over the edge. Nothing unusual in here. Everything seems to be in pretty good order. I did see a lot of mycorrhiza. That was the word I was looking for. I saw a lot of good mycorrhiza in there. That is probably, I would say that's probably also comes down to the biogold. I think it's chocked full of microbes and stuff. So the use of that stuff on its own should have us going along pretty good. Should have us in pretty good shape. I'm just doing a little bit of straighten up in here. The main thing, I was hoping I wouldn't see a whole lot of problems or issues, and I didn't. And let's see, doing a little quick there. There we go. How about that? All's well so far. And now what I'm going to do is put a little more layer down here because I want the tree to sit higher. And then I'm just going to go right back in with it. And this time I'm going to pay way more attention to my angle. And let's see. We should probably do a little wire thing. This would probably be our shot at doing some wire. Okay. That's probably 3 times more wire than I'll need. It's what happens on videos. You want to make sure that you don't shortchange yourself while you're standing there with your finger in something that you can't let go of, and the camera's rolling, and you cut the wire an inch too short or something. Really, oh bummer, man, like that, you know. Also, I'm kind of checking my work here, and for somebody who I recall being kind of upset at the time, upset is a strong word, but I was strongly concerned about the condition of this tree, and I was taking it hard. I'm not a good loser all the time. I don't act like a sore loser, but I would say I would rather be an obnoxious winner than a good loser. Okay. We have some wire here ready to be wire. You spread that out. And get your tools out from under there. This would have been a good time to clean the pot, but I can do that. We're going back with the same soil. There's nothing really to clean out of here, and a million other excuses. This is not why we're here. I can clean that just as well with. I can clean this puppy just as well with my baby oil when we get at that portion of the program. All right, so I'm going to dump some more substrate in there, and good use of the word. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to go about that. We'll just do this. And the rocks went everywhere. Let's see, that might. A little more. A little more, a little more. A little more. Okay, so some of y'all have been, as some of y'all would know, that the last, we've been going through a lot of rain here lately. So, short story long, last week they gave us the 10-day forecast, and in the 10-day forecast they gave us early last week, it was rain every day except 2. And one of those 2 was today. And then there were 2 days in there that were also going to be especially nasty. And they said last Wednesday was going to be one of those days, and tomorrow morning being the other. Well, they were right about Wednesday. So with everything we've been going through as far as our atmospheric rivers, and there's just lined up between here and Hawaii, or actually here in Japan. The worst of that is yet to come, or the best of that, depending on your attitude, is yet to come. It will be here late tonight, early tomorrow. So my commute tomorrow is a little questionable. Can't be afford to taking no holidays off over rain events when I have an indoor job, but I don't want to swamp my little car over it. I would rather not do that. So also that means that I'm going to walk around to the other side to work on the street. That also means that we're a long way towards anywhere near being out of this weather-wise. And this is not me really doing anything to take any of this substrate off here, because we weren't going to take anything out of its mouth anyway. That wasn't really why we were doing that. Okay, so at least that's back over the bench now. Maybe I bring this around this way, or just for grins, bring it around the way where you can work, because it's not really going to make any difference, is it? I'm going to throw these wires down and give them a little twist. Would like for them not. I want them to be there, and I want them to help. I don't want them to show a whole lot. Yeah. We'll do this. I'm just kind of I'm going to try to lace these guys through there a little bit without hurting anything. Yeah, we can do that. Get your hair out of your face so you can see, Patricia. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. Get in here and get some tools. Cut that off to a usable length. That's still way more than I'll need. That's still way more than I need, but now that's short enough to where I can play with it without poking my eye out. I have to think about stuff like that because it's not, you know, I'm capable of doing some pretty clumsy stuff, I'll tell you. So I'm just getting a little wire in here. I got that going the way I want it. It's not tight yet. It's not gonna slip, but I'm not gonna lose my end. That's basically what I think the point to that was. Now here's the point, here's the time where we make adjustments. Taking that, I'm setting that on my stand on the table next to my little geisha goddess. Then, oh yeah, let's clean this. I'm gonna go through here and remove stuff that I don't want to throw back in there. There's my skewer, we don't want to throw that in there. The rest of this is the same substrate that we're more than happy with the same mycorrhiza and all that good stuff. So there's not a whole lot of point in doing anything too terrible with that. I'm walking to the garbage can. I thought I'd get rid of that wire before I find it stuck to the bottom of my heel or something. Alright, that's not a bad frame either. Oh, and you can still see what I did with the tree. That's good. I didn't know if that was completely out of the picture or not when I did it. You see what I'm doing? You kind of get where I'm going here? I bet you do, I bet you do. Alright, that way I still get to use my little tubby and can still throw the tree in here. We'll do that. No. Here's what. If I do that, I'm going to take the tub off because I want to be able to level the tree by looking at it on the stand. So all that stuff that's there's got to go. That's the problem there, but it's okay. I would have already had a ton of substrate everywhere, and we got away with that pretty much, I would say. Okay, gotta be now. What's gonna be our okay? Now we want to go up quite a bit from there and back. So what happened last time was I got the tree in the pot, got it wired down. I felt good that I had that even at my level of expertise, which wasn't much, but I was able to see a cause and effect, and I was able to put a positive spin on that, in that I was able to remove the dead mass that I saw, so that made me feel pretty good, you know, about what I was trying to do there anyway. So with all of that going on, I backed off and looked at it, and only then did I see that I'd completely screwed up the angle on the tree. But I was like, don't unpot it. I mean, it's like if you can't stand it, fix it now. But I had already, you know, I'd already sashed up the wires. They were already, and I was like, truthfully, Pat, the tree is probably dead. You know, if the angle is wrong right now, that's the least of your issues. And so with that, we moved on and moved forward, and now This tree is well on the way, well on the road to the recovery. I'm going to take this now. See, I had to move that to move the tree, and then I had to, so I'm taking this substrate back over with me now. And we're going to start popping that in. Very much kind of made this up as I was going along, but it's okay. Like operation somehow. All right, now. Raise that up. So by raising it up a little, I'm getting that angle going. I'm letting enough substrate falls down there that it won't go all the way back down. And then once that's done, we can start filling it in everywhere, and then also start going in with our chopsticks and running it in there. I look forward to doing that. Yeah, I look forward to that part. That part will be fun. Let's go a little bit more. Okay. All right, now. I think that's Guy. I think that's the height I want in the back. We need to raise the front now too, but not as much as I just raised the back. Yeah. So, it's getting there. It's getting there. I would say it's getting there, yeah. When I said it's getting there, I would say that's a true statement. Raking more soil underneath it like a wedge. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, how is it that way? Okay, so yeah, just as you would suspect. It needs to go up on this corner ever so slight because it's dipping down, but I think I'm getting close to the angle here. And that was the whole point to this, was while it would still be pretty manageable and not be very invasive, just go in there and make that right. I feel good about a lot of what we've done this winter. Last winter, I didn't feel like I had enough to do because, well, for one thing, winter wouldn't do its part, so the trees didn't really feel dormant, and there didn't feel like there was much to be done. Because every time the sun came out, they would just start pushing out buds and stuff. So yeah, I'm liking this a lot more. Okay. So now it's time to cut loose and just start filling this all in. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I am happy with that angle. Okay. Not happy. Not unhappy. Not happy with the angle yet. I want this back to have a little bit, slightly more of an arc to it than what I'm seeing right now. We're getting there. We're getting there. grabbing it low. Getting more substrate underneath there. All right. Yeah. Is it still straight this way? It's straight this way? Straight this way? Don't knock that over. I think it looks better. I think it looks better that way. See, this comes down, exposes more of the nabari the way they had it. It almost looked like it was heaving up out of the pot, but it hadn't been in that substrate long enough to be heaving up out of the pot. That was the way it had been planted. And when I looked at it, when I looked at the old photos, I went, man, when I backed off and looked at it and saw that I didn't like the angle, like I said, I wasn't confident that I was even going to get to keep the tree at that point. I'm like, stop messing with it. Just see if it lives and we'll worry about the angle later. Well, Japanese black pines are forgiving. I decandled this one when I wasn't supposed to. I learned my watering P's and Q's on this one and another one. Sweet pea, basically, were the two I had. And now Simply Pea. And I waited until there was a problem to learn about proper fertilization. So this guy went hungry and abused in a way, if you talk about the needle plucking that I shouldn't have done to it, but did anyway, because I thought that was the one thing I was doing right. I made a lot of mistakes with this tree, and you know what? It totally said, hey, all good. You just figure it out and don't kill me, and we'll be all good. And so this hasn't been a discouraging adventure by any means. I would say this has been quite the little thing. I've really enjoyed having these guys. And it is intimidating when you see a tree and you think, yeah, that's really a nice tree. I sure am lucky to have such a fine looking tree. You know, and it could be something that somebody else has already trained, or it could be something that you feel is just nature's little gift to you, and it's just perfect the way it is, you know. But if you feel like you're just kind of whistling in the dark as far as its care, and I know what that's like. It's like at the time when I got this thing, the idea of going in and experimenting with it to try to take care of it or go cutting things off of it, I'm like, it's already done to a higher finish than you know. Don't mess with that for as long as possible. And so to that end, I did. I kind of waited until it was time, long past time to do something, and then panicked over what it was I was supposed to learn to do. So compared to that, I would say being proactive, although being a slack ass does have its, you know, like when you learn just in the nick of time, it's like, yeah, see, no problem. Well, yeah, it was. It scared the hell out of me. I wouldn't recommend that when it comes to this. But what I should have learned and should have been more proactive about, the part that that I didn't know was everything. The part where I didn't want to worry about everything because I would find it overwhelming and I didn't know which part to worry about first. That was very real. So I would almost say I don't have any qualms about the way I kind of went about that. I was lucky that I got away with it, though. I would say that. And also, black pines do have their things, but they will give you a minute to figure them out without just falling over dead, like this one. It gave me a minute to figure it out. And the other little pines that I've had, the ceilings, I've learned so much from them. And somebody told me when I was going through the stuff with this one, they said, Pat, when you have one tree and you like it, but it's the only one of that kind that you have, you kind of live or die by how it looks on any one particular day. So get more black pines, and that way you can see over the hole how you're doing, and it'll be a lot easier to find some balance rather than the balance that you're looking for hinging on the color of the needles of one tree. Yep, certainly takes the pressure off of that one to look all Nazi-tidy when you're not sure exactly what that is. So I'm firing this in, as they say, and looking for little pockets where nothing is, and I'm finding them. But yeah, there we go. Get in there. Get in there, Lewis. So yeah, this has been quite the interesting week. Also, I feel so good about doing this. Every time I looked at that tree, I was going, it's coming along. The color's getting good. The needle count's getting good. We need to clean this up and do a little maintenance to it, and do a tiny little bit of needle reduction. Nothing too strenuous, but if you don't even out the energy of those needles, it'll start killing off lower parts of the tree. That's the reason we don't necessarily do that to shrink a tree. We do that to keep it small because a tree wants to be big, and it'll start overproducing the stuff here, and then all this stuff starts dying out. And the first thing that died out with all of that was this branch. I didn't even out the energy up here. All of this stuff got weak, and we went through some stuff. And before we went through that stuff, I had already been warned at that point. I said, they had told me if you don't start reducing the energy on the top of that tree, by next year you will start losing lower branches. And that's why these guys look a little thinner, although they're already coming back from what they were. And that's why I lost that one whenever we went through our little hardship. You know, everything came back except the weakest piece, and guess what that was? So yeah, it opens up in there a little bit, allows for a little lot. I'm not gonna mind it. I don't think I'm going to gin or shari that. I don't expect to see a bud come from there anytime soon or ever out of that bark. But if I can increase the bud sites to all of these guys, and we can get nice full pads again coming out of there, we will have done some good work. And yeah, and I feel a lot better about all of that now too. Okay. Yep. So yeah, I always find the part where you're chopping the soil down. I always find that part to be kind of rewarding, especially when the little pockets give away and all that soil drops, and you go, yeah, I get to add more soil right there. Cool. Coolio. All right, we are probably pretty close to being able to tighten this guy down. The part where I do a cleanup on this, I'll stop the camera after when I have all of this substrate punched down like I like it, and I think I've got a little bit of a top dressing going on. It looks a little neat and stuff. When I feel good about that, then I'll tighten down these wires here, seal the deal, and then at that point I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup and needle reduction, but we'll make that part two. What do you say? I think if you guys have hung out this long, we can all take a break for a minute and then come back for part two. Part two. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So happy. So very happy. You can go back to 2020, 2021, somewhere in there, to this tree before, and you'll see that it had a little bit more of an, it had this angle to it last time, closer to this angle to it, and it was sitting this high off the pot, out of the pot, exposing all this cool nabari. Like I said, last time I repotted it, I've kind of backed off when I was done. I wasn't really thinking right. I wasn't thinking like, oh, how does it look this way or how does it look that way? I was like, let's close this thing up, and if it lives from this, we'll. It wasn't a good attitude, but I wasn't really in a good space then. I was not happy about what I thought was going on with this tree. And I had already fixed it, but I had already done something that meant I was going to have to go back. So we still get to learn our lessons. All right, we're reeling this in. Probably the same amount of substrate, because I'm probably going to have about as much left over as what I added. But I added more to that to the bottom and then set the tree up higher. So it's probably not going to have, also it looked a little mounded up last time. It's not going to look as mounded up this time, but the tree will be sitting higher in the pot. So that's going to be the difference. That's going to be the difference there. In fact, I've probably got enough substrate in here to finish the job once I even all this stuff out a little bit more. Did I lose my wires? May have. Oh, there they are. So yeah, I was also glad to see the mycorrhiza, that little white mycorrhiza in the roots. That was a really good sign. I would have, I was really hoping to see that, and I was glad to see that. Yep. Which way are you going? Okay. I'm dyslexic, so even though I just turned this, I had to look at it and see which way I was turning it again to make sure I didn't unscrew it. Blitzdexia raises its ugly head. All right, nothing up my sleeve. Presto! And I have just changed the angle and raised in the pot my 75-year-old Cork bark Japanese black pine. And you were there. You and Frida Ribadorsi were there. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. I appreciate you. I have learned so much trying to make sure that the stuff that I'm putting out is the good stuff. And I have learned so much trying to stay ahead of the curve and keep these videos cranked out, without just repeating myself too much. And that has been a huge help to me. And your encouragement has always been a huge help to me. And I just want you guys to know that this year, I think this year is going to be a pretty good year. And I'm really looking forward to what all we're gonna do. That that is a better angle on that tree. and I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. Very good. All right, I righted it wrong, just right there. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is the end of part one, the repotting of the Japanese black pine. We'll take a little break, and then I'm going to start shooting and release at a later date a little bit of the cleanup work. Before we go back out on the bench, we'll do a little cleanup work, and I'll probably dress the top a little bit more too, sweep it, but there's no, that other 5 minutes. You can see that whenever we start the other. So thank you so much for watching.